Yeah, I'm not doing too well in the old lads talking footy betting competition.
No, and someone that isn't here right now is doing really well and is letting everyone know about it too.
Oh my goodness, you can't shut the guy up. He's such an eat-ass. He's just fluking these random underdog and random prop plays.
Yeah. All right, welcome back on into another episode of Lads Talking Footy. Myself, Sam, joined with none other than the great Jordan Tanner. How are we, lad?
Good, bro. Good. How's your weekend?
Yeah, it was good. It was full, action-packed with footy, UFC, fantastic weekend for sport. I actually went down to the old fish market on Sunday and we got ourselves some lobster tails, smoked them up on the barbecue and settled down for the Sunday Arvo footy. So it was a bit of a treat. It was great to listen to you lads on the radio as well. Absolutely killed it on Today FM. So yeah, I mean, if you've got nothing on Saturday mornings, tune in, or Saturday afternoons, tune in and listen to us. How about yourself, mate? What'd you get up to?
Nah, not much. I was just watching a whole lot of footy as well and seeing a whole bunch of bets crumble and I'm not doing too well in the old lads talking footy betting competition.
No, and someone that isn't here right now is doing really well and is letting everyone know about it too.
Oh my goodness, you can't shut the guy up. He's such an eat-ass. He's just fluking these random underdog and random prop plays.
Yeah, and it's coming off. I actually had a message from the Stig over the weekend and he's stoked that he managed to hit a value bet and he wasn't on a nutty run because that wasn't looking too pretty.
Stig's struggling down there. Like, I'm doing bad, but he's in the negatives. So.
Okay, to kick us off, we had obviously UFC 286 over the weekend. Do you want to just give us a little review on the fights that you discussed and what you sort of all thought?
Yeah, so UFC 286 live from London. Pretty good card. It's always a good atmosphere in London. The crowd's always way into it. In terms of our picks, I went 2 from 4, and the props were a Vettori decision and a Nelson sub. So, all right, you would have cashed if you played the props as well as the picks. So, yeah, tough bickies. We got 50%, but it's all right. We'll go to the first fight. Vettori defeated Roman Dolidze by unanimous decision. Not the most skillful fight in the world, but both extremely tough and both very durable, and it made it a good little scrap that was enjoyable to watch. But Roman Dolidze had 2 weapons. He had a right overhand and a tight left hook, and that's literally it.
That's all he needed.
That's all. He lost. I think it was a close fight. I saw one of the judges gave Vettori 30-27, which is crazy because I believe Dolidze won that first round, had him hurt really badly. But yeah, these guys are going to struggle at the top of the division. Dolidze really just needs to add something more than 2 weapons to his game because, it was kind of frustrating to watch. But hey, man, tough guys, scary power on the Dolidze side. Improvement from Vettori, adding a leg kick to his game, which I think is something he picked up from Robert Whittaker. So, hey, a win's a win, and he can look up the division now. So, good work by Marvin Vettori there. And then Gunnar Nelson, my other prop player, defeated Brian Barberena by first round sub. Shout out Simon, who also had that call. Nelson, great takedown, great aggressive grappling. And I didn't expect it to look this easy.
Yeah.
But, man, he made it look easy. He got the armbar, beautifully done, 10 seconds to go in the round. Brian Barberena, such an entertaining fighter, such an exciting fighter. Whoever your manager is, cut ties with him because we got to see you with strikers, man. We don't need to see you with these grapplers and you getting subbed out real quickly. We want to see you in wars like you were against Robbie Lawler and Vicente Luque. Like, we got to let go of these grapplers, man. But Gunnar Nelson, very impressive. Coming back after a few years layoff, second fight back. So he'll look up the division now and he's looking pretty good. So Gunnar Nelson, good to see him back. Then the co-main event, absolute fight of the night banger.
Yeah.
Justin Gaethje, with maybe the best performance I've ever seen him put on, defeats Rafael Fiziev by majority decision. Close fight. Majority decision kind of represents that. I believe Gaethje did win 2 rounds to 1, but there is an argument that Rafael Fiziev did win the first 2 rounds. But man, Gaethje was so impressive.
Yeah.
Poured it on him in the 3rd round. Uppercuts, great movement, which, you know, Gaethje isn't really known for his movement, but he was moving really well, especially in the early rounds, circling out and whatnot. And yeah, power in his punches, power in his leg kicks. Good jab in the third round, was really finding purchase with that jab. And man, Rafael Fiziev was impressive.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Gaethje was just on his absolute A game and put an absolute beating on him. So Justin Gaethje, really impressive. I now want to see him move into a rematch with Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, I like that.
So they fought a couple years ago. Dustin Poirier finished him in, I believe, the 4th round of their fight. Gaethje has improved, especially with this performance here. He has improved.
He's gone away and he's done not his homework, but he's improved his skill set and he's climbed his way back up and he's ready to take it on.
You can see that here. A lifetime wrestler in Justin Gaethje absolutely papsing up a lifetime striker in Rafael Fiziev. So he is making a lot of improvements. I think there's a lot of interest in a Dustin Poirier fight.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see them run that back. As for Rafael Fiziev, Jalen Turner. You remember Jalen Turner from the last pay-per-view event? Big, tall, really good prospect in the lightweight division. Hey, just from a pure fan standpoint, I'd love to see the big, tall, stinging puncher of Jalen Turner take on Rafael Fiziev's quickness and his skills. Such an exciting fight. So
yeah,
hey, I'm not out on the Fiziev hype train. I don't think he'll be champion. That kind of exposed that. But hey, he's still a really exciting fighter and a really good talent in that lightweight division. So, main event. Leon Edwards defeats Kamaru Usman by majority decision again, which is real weird. So, close fight, insanely close fight.
This fight took all my money on the weekend.
Yeah.
I poured heavily into an Usman submission and then an Usman knockout. Yeah. And then I thought, I'll cover my losses in case Edwards starts or same result as last time and gets a late knockout. Yeah. And it just took it all and catch it later.
All gone.
I was really enjoyed the pre-fight antics. Not from Usman, from Edwards. I thought it was real corny, what Usman was doing. And I just loved to see what Edwards was like. He was just didn't make eye contact with him once, and he was just, you could see that he was locked in.
He's
from the
super chill, man. There's not a lot that can throw him off his game. It is kind of surprising in hindsight how flat he was in Salt Lake City when they last fought.
Yeah.
You can really just put it down to the altitude, maybe. He says it was the altitude, but man, he was super impressive with this. He was attacking the legs, attacking the body. He just had better skills. He defended takedowns really well, and Kamaru, honestly, didn't really make too much adjustments in this fight. He actually looked a little bit slower for me, and the only thing he really changed was he had his right hand guard a little higher to stop that head kick. And he did see a few of those, which his hand was up, and he was able to defend. But yeah,
those were the notes that I took from this. So, I mean, Edwards was using his kicks really, really well, and he was using them frequently. He did a good job in the clinch, I thought, as well, from what I saw. And then, obviously, the first takedown as well. He nearly tapped him as well when they were on the ground there. I thought he did a really good job as well throughout the match in keeping his spacing on Usman as well. He was quite worried about, obviously, the takedown threat. So he was smart enough to hold his spacing and then jump into it when need be. So
Yeah, no, it was very impressive by Leon Edwards. Fence grab, blatant fence grab, point got deducted, fair point deduction. I mean, they're really trying to stamp down on those sort of fouls at the moment because it is very crucial when trying to go for a takedown to give up such a position so easily, and to grab the fence is a pretty flagrant foul to stop those sort of movements. So yeah, I agree with the point deduction. In terms of the decision, I thought it was honestly going to be a draw.
Yeah, I was getting the mixed message on that as well.
Yeah.
Home crowd advantage maybe played into this a little bit.
It could have. When I remember the fight looking back and I consider the damage that Leon was doing to the body, to the legs, even the counter-striking to the head, he did accumulate the more damage, and it is damage-based scoring. In terms of the scores for each round, I had Leon round 1, 4, and 5, and then Usman round 2 and 3, and then that round 3 being a 10-8 due to the point deduction. So for me, that works out to draw. But yeah, I can see them giving it to Leon, and I'm not going to say robbery, but close fight, tough decision.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, very impressive main event. It was, great to see.
Yeah, in terms of now, what's next for these guys? Leon Edwards
came out and said, he's not interested in Covington at all.
Yeah.
And what do you think's next for him?
Well, I think it's Covington. I think he's got no choice because very rarely does Dana White go to the post-match press conference and say, yep, Covington's confirmed. We're giving it to Covington. And he did that. He did that in the post-match press conference. So I think he likes the value that Colby brings as a marketing tool. And he also appreciates the fact that Colby came and did this on very short notice, cut the weight to be the backup fighter. So he is going to give him this opportunity. And yeah, he usually always says, we don't make fights the night of the actual fight. But
and that's what he came out and did.
Yeah, and he did. He made the fight. He also made Bilal versus Shavkat, which is a great fight. Simon will be happy of that, feeding Bilal to the absolute prospect. But in terms of Kamaru Usman, I think that he'll take the winner of that, Bilal versus Shavkat.
Yeah.
He has to kind of go through death's row now that he's lost twice in championship fights in a row. And yeah, he's going to have to take on the winner of that, which I lean towards Shavkat. And man, what a fight that'll be. Usman versus Shavkat. Take my money.
Okay, we got UFC Fight Night coming up.
Yes.
Do you want to touch on that for us?
Yeah, so UFC Fight Night, San Antonio. Corey Sandhagen takes on Marlon Cheeto Vera. Two of my favorite fighters. You got Corey Sandhagen here at $1.58 favorite, taking on Marlon Vera at $2.30 underdog. Cheeto Vera, one of the coolest fighters in and out of the cage. He's like a zombie vampire. He super tough, super durable, holds back in the earlier rounds, and then he's just so fit that during the later rounds, he just starts walking you down, and he throws everything with such vicious and fight-ending intent. He's got some really like dangerous techniques like front kicks up the middle, side super kicks, like Sweet Chin Music type things to the head.
He's going to pull out something crazy and look to end it on,
And we've seen that in a couple fights as well. We've seen that in the Dominic Cruz fight where he kicks him and breaks his nose. We've seen that in the Frankie Edgar fight when he throws the front kick up and mushes his face into oblivion. So, man, Cheeto Vera is a dangerous, dangerous man, but Sandhagen is also one of my favorite fighters, not so much out of the ring, but inside the cage, because he's like a sniper, man. He is so precise and so accurate with his strikes. He's kind of like Dominic Cruz in a way, except he doesn't move like as extreme in terms of footwork and motion around the cage, but he is longer. He's more durable, I think, at this stage in Cruz's career, because Cruz is getting pretty old. And he might have a little bit of speed and power advantage on Cruz at this stage as well. So, hey, it's not... Cheeto has already fought Cruz, and Cruz had a lot of success in the earlier rounds of that fight before ultimately getting his face kicked off. But I don't see that happening with Corey Sandhagen just because Corey is so tough. He's taken punches from the likes of Song Yadong, Peter Yan, and it hasn't put him down. He is durable. He can stick around in the fight. And I also think he's got a wrestling advantage here. He showed some wrestling chops against Song Yadong. I don't think it's going to end up there very often in this fight, but
it's something he could bring out and sort of catch him by surprise a little bit.
Cheeto Vera, he's dangerous off his back, but he gets taken down way too easily. So there is something in Corey Sandhagen's back pocket. Wrap it all up, I have to consider Corey Sandhagen here for decision, and that prop is paying $2.37, and I think it'll be a 49-46 decision with maybe Cheeto Vera getting a really good knockdown in one of the later rounds, but Corey Sandhagen ultimately surviving.
Nah, tidy. Do you know what time this fight sort of kicks off, just for those watching?
No, I don't off the top of my head, but in San Antonio, I'm assuming it'll be around 2 to 4 for us New Zealand viewers.
Yeah. And ESPN Fight Night, so no pay-per-view on that.
No
cracky streams you're going to have to be running through. I like it. Okay, we're going to jump into Super Rugby review and preview. Before we jump into that, All Blacks coach, the All Blacks have appointed Razor Robinson as head coach from 2024 until the end of 2027, which means he gets the full 4 years and the World Cup included in that. I didn't really see this going anywhere else.
It's been, neither did I.
Yeah, rumour mill in the news for so long. It's just great to finally see it happen, and now we can put that all behind us. The All Blacks can move on, get this World Cup underway with Ian Foster, and the Crusaders can just focus on the season. Yeah. What do you like from it all?
No, I like it. Razor Robinson is the clear choice to be the coach for this All Blacks team. You see the dynasty he's had with the Crusaders over the last 6-7 years, and them winning every single Super Rugby every single year, and also the brand of footy that the Crusaders play.
Exactly.
Lightning fast, ruck speed, shift it, well and play territory well. So we need this in the All Blacks. I don't see it as a problem for this current All Blacks campaign. I saw an interview on The Breakdown with Ian Foster, and he seems pretty committed to the cause. I trust that he'll be a professional about his current tenure and put all his investment into getting us as close as we can to winning that World Cup at the end of the year. So I think it's win-win. I think we've got the right guy for the next job, and the guy for the current job is going to do his best to get it done.
I couldn't agree with that anymore. I mean, look, he's got all his bickies in one basket for this right now. He knows his future, and there's going to be no sort of backlash with the media and all of this. Well, I hope not. Yeah. But yeah, he's going to have that agenda that for the All Blacks. This is the last time they're playing for Foster as well. So it's good. I like it. Yeah. Now, Ireland win the Six Nations with a 29-16 win against England.
Speaking of World Cup, far out.
Yeah, I know, right? What were your takeaways from the whole Six Nations tournament in a whole and Ireland itself?
In terms of the tournament in whole, high quality rugby. It was really good rugby, especially from France, Ireland, and even Scotland. Scotland weren't as complete as the top two, but they played a very exciting brand of footy.
They played a very Southern Hemisphere style of footy.
Yeah, like a crazy like a Fiji footy. Like they're shifting it from everywhere. So I really enjoyed Scottish rugby. The Italians were even pretty exciting to watch. You've got that fullback Campazzo for them. So it's good to see Italian rugby start to do some good things. England and Wales, duds.
Yeah.
They're going to struggle in this World Cup, but they still got a chance to make the semi just given the structure of the pools. So, hey, right place, right time, I guess. But Ireland and France are the two best teams in the world. Ireland's defense is
impeccable.
Dominant.
Yeah.
Dominant. So dominant. They didn't concede more than 20 points in any of the games in the Six Nations. Oh, no, they did. Guess what the only team to score 20 on them was?
Was it Italy?
It was Italy.
Yeah.
Italy, 34-20 they lost. So shout out Italy again. But, man, even you saw their game against France. They dominated France on the defensive end. And we all saw what France was capable of doing against England with that 53-10 win. Man, those two teams, you've got the attacking prowess of France, the defensive prowess of Ireland. They're going to be tough to beat at the end of the year.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't agree more. More than what you just said. I mean, put it perfectly. I had my takeaway from it all was Italy. Super impressive. They kind of remind me of like the Argentina, Japan / sort of team that's
very
building.
much so. Yeah,
and then I had a look at the pools for the World Cup, thinking, oh, maybe they could make a little bit of noise. But when you got New Zealand, France, and your pool, it's pretty tough, which is a shame. But I am super excited to see what they've done here and sort of. I reckon they might be on the cusp of a couple of upsets come next Six Nations. Now we get into Super Rugby. The Crusaders take on the Brumbies Friday night. Crusaders beat the Blues 34-28 last weekend. So takeaways from the Crusaders. I got this completely wrong in terms of the result against the Blues. The Crusaders completely rallied together and managed to stun the home crowd at the House of Eden. They played some really creative and expansive footy.
Yes, especially in that first half.
Yeah. Fainga'anuku had 122 run meters, 5 tackle breaks, and 3 tries. Mo'unga, again, was brilliant. The style is what they need to keep. It's creative. They took opportunities when they presented themselves. And, I thought Ethan Blackadder as well was fantastic.
Oh, Ethan Blackadder was fantastic. His ball-carrying ability, he's up there with one of the most busy and effective ball carriers in the whole entire competition. Sam Whitelock, I keep bringing his name up, but he's just so good at the line out and he works so hard around the field. And he's got to be about 60 years old, so
he's going to be
super impressive.
He's going to be a missed head in New Zealand footy once. It's all said
I mean,
done.
this locking duo, I don't think any other All Blacks locking duo comes even close to what we've got with Brodie Retallick and Sam Whitelock. Those guys are absolute legends. Leicester Fainga'anuku, like you said, was dangerous. 3 tries, 122 meters, 5 defenders beaten. And another little standout for the Crusaders was Dallas McLeod.
Yes.
I thought he carried really well in place of Harvey. I think he was replacing at the 12 jersey. So, hey, it's just like the Panthers. Like, you take one star out and another one emerges. It's crazy in the Crusaders. I knew this was a chance of happening. I did not pick it, unfortunately, but...
You went the 1 to 12 safe option with the Blues, hoping maybe they'll...
And they nearly got it. They literally missed it by about an inch from the try line.
It was real tough. Now, a prediction for the Crusaders, obviously taking on the Brumbies. Brumbies just put 62 on Moana. Crusaders at home. This is quite tough to pick again. I think this will be really close. and I'm going to be leaning towards the Brumbies in this.
Wow, crazy. Well, you'd be doing a really good dog pick because they're $4.20 underdogs here. Crusaders are $1.22 favorites. But, man, I like what I saw from the Crusaders last week. I think they've reestablished themselves. If they can play like that from week to week, they've reestablished themselves as genuine contenders in this competition. I'm going to ride with them. I think the Crusaders will actually beat them pretty comfortably. And I'm going to go Crusaders 11-20 at $3.50.
Nice, that's tasty. Now the Chiefs take on the Waratahs also on Friday. Chiefs beat the Rebels 44-25 last weekend. Rebels stunned them early with a couple of counterattack. A couple of early sort of hitouts with the attacking flair that they have. Now the efforts of Amoni Narawa.
Oh,
so
fantastic!
Slick.
Yeah.
The try that he gets, or the try that he sets up off the counter-attack, just brings that flair. And then the try that he gets just after that.
5 minutes later,
Exactly. It shows exactly sort of that what we were expecting from his NPC campaign is in full display for the Chiefs outfit. I don't know how the hell he stayed in, and then the dive to back it up.
Yeah.
Super impressive.
Another winger out of nowhere.
I know.
Our stocks are so good in that department.
Yeah. I expected a pretty convincing win. That's sort of what we got. The Rebels are a young team. They're hungry to attack. We got a little bit of that. And these things happen.
And they still covered the line. So shout out if you took the prop that I had you last week. Yeah.
Shooter, double, leads the competition with 7. In place behind him is just a bunch of blokes on 4.
Yeah.
He's just continuing to make this argument. Yeah. What did you take away?
I mean, slow start for once. They usually explode out of the blocks and then sort of get try a bit too hard in the second half, and that's where the team sort of come back. But they were slow out of the blocks and then ended up exploding anyway around the 30-minute mark. So, hey, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. They're still the front position for this competition. They were exposed a little bit on the edges, a little bit easy-ish, and the Blues will actually watch that game and be like, hey, we could do something against this Chiefs team.
Especially with the team that they've got lined up
exactly,
there as well.
exactly. So a little bit of vulnerability starting to show its head. I mean, you're never going to have a perfect team, but this Chiefs team is still the top of the class at the moment. Sean Stevenson, like you said, 2 more tries. And one of those tries, I don't know if you've seen it in the slow-mo, the touch off the left foot, man.
Yeah.
Left foot.
Yeah.
Man.
He's been watching the World Cup and working on his soft touches.
Yeah, that was silky,
incredible.
man. I was like, wait a minute, was that the left foot? Had to rewind and see again. Far out, man. That's some good soft skill by Shawnee Stevenson.
All right, prediction for this one. Where do we see it going?
So you got the Chiefs at a huge favorite, $1.16. Waratahs at $5 underdogs. Waratahs look shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole game, the Hurricanes didn't look flash either. That whole game was pretty shit. So I don't see the Waratahs doing anything against the Chiefs. If you give up silly mistakes and penalties against the Chiefs, they're going to cut you to bits. And that's where I'm going here. I've got the Chiefs 13 plus at $1.62.
I couldn't agree anymore. That's actually pretty tasty odds for what it is. It's in Sydney.
Considering.
So I'll give them maybe some sort of home field. But Chiefs 13 plus. Yeah. Put your money on that one.
Yeah, in Sydney, so don't go 30 plus maybe.
Don't go 50 plus when they're in Drua either, because you'll eat it like I did. Now, Highlanders take on Drua, speaking of the devil, on Saturday. Now, the Highlanders managed to run up 43 points in their 43-35 win over the Force. First of all, the jerseys for the Force, real ugly, I thought. They looked like a bunch of bumblebees.
Honestly, I turned it over and I was like, am I watching Taranaki versus Southland? What is this?
I know.
In Invercargill?
It was a tight one until like the 60th minute where the Highlanders finally managed to just compile a couple. I'd said, look, they need to just get through these first couple of weeks before they can take on the Force and sort of get some continuity happening, find out who they are. They're a team that sucks on defense. They let in 35 points against the Force. Yeah. They put on 43, but it was just going tit for tat the whole game, and I'm pretty concerned about what they're coming up against now.
Yeah, and I was cringing at that 43-35. I had them at 11-20. That was my pick. And then they just let in 2 tries from the 78th and 81st minute to get it to that, to get it under that. So, yeah, fuck you, Highlanders, for that. Highlanders look pretty basic on attack, but, they showed some high accuracy in this game. So, I mean, they're not going to compete with the top teams, but I can see them getting wins over your Force, maybe your Reds, maybe your Drua. maybe a Pacifica, teams like that. But yeah, they're not going to compete. I'm not very high on the Highlanders still, even though they won this game. Shannon Frizzell, a little bit of question marks there, out in the pre-game with a groin injury.
Yeah.
But hey, someone who stood up in his place, Hugh Renton.
Yeah.
And he did last week as well. And that guy is a strong ball carrier. I mean, we've got too much depth at the All Blacks, so I'm not calling for him to have a black jersey. But hey, someone you need to keep your eye on is a really good player.
Now, Drua obviously lost to the Reds on the weekend in a tight one. It's in Dunners, which is going all in favour of the Highlanders, but I'm going to be tipping Drua in this, and it's just the physical aspect. We saw them play the expansive footy, and of course their hometown of Fiji. They're going down to something a little bit starting to get colder down in Dunners. But I like them, you know.
Yeah, they are good.
There's some big boys in that pack.
Some super athletes. Their loose forwards are athletes. Their centre is an athlete. I forget their names off the top of my head, but man, they are dangerous players.
All I'm looking at is, again, 35 points conceded by the Highlanders, and you're coming up a big pack, and some boys are going to be putting some shots on, and there's going to be some speed out wide. So I think it'll be tight. Maybe the Highlanders to cover some sort of spread. I'm not sure what the odds are sitting at right now, but I will be tipping Drew in this.
So I got your odds here. You've got another really good dog, if this is where you're going. Fijian Drua $3.10 and Highlanders $1.37 favourite. I kind of liked how accurate the Highlanders were last week, especially with Aaron Smith back in the fold. He's kind of given a little bit more structure to this team since he's come back into the starting lineup.
Mitch Hunt played quite well as well.
Mitch Hunt had good kicking and great vision. Even got a 50-22, I believe. So I think I'm going to stick with the Highlanders here at 1-12, $2.80. But man, this is a very dangerous game. I go back to the game last year where the Highlanders won a close one against the Drua. I think it's going to look something similar to that. And yeah, I'll stick with the Highlanders, but I'm not happy about it.
Hurricanes take on Moana on Saturday. Hurricanes had the 34-17 win over the Tars on the weekend. Was sort of where I thought it was going to be in this one. The Waratahs haven't been doing anywhere near as good as I actually thought they were going to be after I saw them in round one, I think it was. And it just goes to show, I guess, the level of New Zealand rugby compared to Australian footy. Cam Roigard. He's becoming a bit of a bolter for me.
Wow, really?
Scored a double. He's been looking really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Aaron Smith, you've got Finlay Christie. Fakatava is
still working his way back into health.
Exactly, and I'm a little bit worried that he may fall into the trap of potentially being a great Super Rugby player, but when it comes to taking that next leap, he might not be quite the degree of halfback.
Well, I think maybe it'll be next year when you sort of see Falau Fakatava really become a star once Aaron Smith's left.
Yeah, and he sort of... he gets them
establishes himself as he gets a huge presence within the Highlanders team because they're lacking a bit of talent. So if there is a team where you can stand out, it would be the Highlanders.
Yeah, well put. Now, Kenny Naholo played well. Hurricanes offense looked really, really good. Currently sitting third. They were my bolter to watch this season. They're bolting. They're impressing me. So,
sure.
What did you take away from this?
I wasn't too impressed by the Hurricanes in this game, to be fair. They did get the win, which is always a good thing. But it was very messy. They still, penalties and errors crept into their game.
The edge play on attack really impressed me, though. They looked really good once they got into that tram line sort of area and could tip on quite smoothly on the edges. Yeah, and
back to the negative point of the errors. Dodgiest ball skills I've seen on a set of wingers maybe ever in Julian Savia and Kenny Naholo. So there was I always held my breath whenever they got the ball, and they did make a few mistakes. But hey, Kenny Naholo, 2 tries. Yeah. Always like to see that. Was that his debut?
No, that wasn't I don't think that was his debut. Don't
Season
quote
debut,
me on
though.
that. But yeah, for the Hurricanes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's always good to get 2 tries. Brett Cameron, I've given him a little bit of stick with the boys saying he might be the worst All Black cap of all time because he has that cap back in 2018 against Japan, I believe.
It was a wild one.
Yeah, that's when Steve Hansen was sort of in his last year and he was sort of giving them out like free prizes. But hey, he played really good. He had a good control over this game. But yeah, the Hurricanes need to do better in this game to reestablish themselves as a genuine threat, I believe, because they still look a cut below the rest of the comp.
Predictions?
The contenders, sorry. Not the comp. They'll beat Moana Pacifica.
No, I know what you mean. Predictions for this one. Moana have had a real tough run. It will be great to see the lads warming up Mount Smart, though, before the Wires take it on Sunday. Ooh. I'll be going Hurricanes and Hurricanes 13+ in this one.
True. Well, I see the lines here. Hurricanes $1.09. Moana Pacifica $6.50 underdog. I'm picking the Hurricanes to win this match, but when you've got the money line at Moana Pacifica plus 20.5 at $1.90, they still were right in it with the Brumbies until getting blown out late. The Hurricanes didn't look anything special. So I'm going to take Pacifica, especially considering they won a game against the Hurricanes last year, to cover this line. So Hurricanes to win, Moana line.
At 20 points, though, that's tasty. Mount Smart, we know what it's like when the wires are there. The drums will be beating. I quite like that. And to round it all off, the Blues take on the Force on Sunday. Blues lost 34-28 to the Crusaders on the weekend. Super ugly from the Blues. Couldn't catch a break with 2 tries at the end where they just completely lost control of it. Now, you'd expect the Crusaders wanting to bounce back after what happened against Drua. That's exactly what they sort of came out and did, and surely the Blues 100%. Were expecting this. Mark Talia straight out of the gates was fantastic. That individual try from the Blues. But again, I'm seeing a lot of tries happen from the Blues after not applying a whole heap of pressure, and that's where it happens.
It's just breakout tries. It's just chancing their arm from anywhere, and they have the talent to do that sort of things, but I've lauded them last week against the Hurricanes for being a little bit more patient and going phase to phase. That absolutely did not work against this Crusaders line speed. When they tried to go phase to phase, they were just going backwards and backwards, and they were lucky to get bailed out by some of their talented backs like Mark Talea, like Caleb Clark, and get a few tries on the board and make it a competitive game. It honestly, when I was watching the first half, it didn't look like a competitive game. It looked like the Crusaders were kind of rolling them. But hey, sometimes you verse these good teams. I don't see it as
alarm bells.
Not alarm bells, nah.
But it was a shame for something that could have been just something circled on the calendar, tick that one off. Yeah, move on. One thing that I do have circled here, Tuivasa Sheck was okay in attack. He got kind of caught out defensively a couple of times. He only made 4 of his 9 tackles as well. So that is concerning signs for Tuivasa, and he really jumps the gun on that inside channel. So where you've got like a backdoor option, and he'll play the first man receiver, and some teams will like add 2 to that and sort of hit them on the out ball. And when he's off his out shoulder, that's where he's missing a lot of tackles. Yeah,
considering the success that Dallas McLeod had in that game, that makes sense. One thing I do like about Tuivasa is he holds himself accountable. I saw a quote, I think, on the Herald or on Stuff, one of those news websites, where he was very hard on himself. Yeah. And, he wants to...
He'd be the type of guy, like, he misses a tackle in the game, and you're watching the replay of them make the line break, and he's, like, up on the field doing his 5 push-ups just to show the team that he's accountable for it.
So once everyone's left after the game, he's just doing henny mowers. RTAs,
Predictions for this one. House of Eden again for the Blues. Different result this time, I think. Dependent maybe on what squads get named, but I think this could potentially run up to the 60s.
Wow. I mean, hey, doing Super Rugby math, Blues beat the Highlanders by 60. Highlanders beat the Force, so makes a lot of sense. And I'm not maybe going to throw my neck out there and go 60, but I think the Blues will get this done comfortably. They're $1.04 favourites against the Force, who are $9 underdog. So TAB obviously agrees with us. But I'll play the Blues 13 plus $1.25. I can't see it really going any other way.
Yeah. NRL. Super Rugby out of the way, and we are into the NRL.
NRL on the way.
How'd you go with your picks last week, mate?
Yeah, so pretty mid. It's been just a mid couple of... it was a really mid weekend for me last week. So 5 out of 8 picks. Yep. And the props I got was Sea Eagles 1-12, Roosters 1-12 as a dog, and Broncos 13 plus. But yeah, just sort of all right.
Super Saturday killed me. The Wars got up. Everyone. Love to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a bit of a toughie. I think I was sitting 5 for 7 on that one as well. What I've got for our review preview is I'm actually going to run each week my best bet. I'll be keeping track of that. I've listed it down as a multi, so jump on if you want to jump on with me. I'll list it off at the end of that. But yeah, I want to be not held accountable for my result picking. You've got the odds on that and the head-to-head, so I want to be jumping on the best bet I see for this.
Okay, nice.
Now to kick us off, Eels take on the Panthers on Thursday. Panthers are coming off a bye from last week, and the Eels go 0-3 after a 34-30 loss to Manly. We'll start off with the Eels. I backed them on the show, and then just before kickoff, I got in my head like I said I was going to, and I ended up thinking, what the hell am I thinking right now? Yeah. And I backed the Bird gang.
Fly Birds.
The Eels just don't look very good. Brown got his running meters up in this, but shit, they're missing Sean Lane on that edge. Penasini is having a great season. The connection of the middle, I've lost my track here. Penasini is having a good year for them, but it's the connection in the middle that I'm really concerned about.
Yeah.
3 rounds, and it really goes to show that they're missing Marnie in this, and it doesn't get any easier for them. They take on the Panthers this weekend off a bye, and then they go into the Roosters the following after a bye as well. So what did you take away from the Eels, mate?
Yeah, it was a wild game, them versus the Sea Eagles. They just have a very traditional, non-creative offense, and the Sea Eagles were really punishing them when they were playing like that and running up a few points. But when they did chance their arm, they actually looked pretty dangerous. I didn't mind them when they chanced their arm. Clint Gutherson had a good game. 2 tries, 156 run meters, 2 line breaks, 2 defenders beaten. But yeah, I'm not high on the Eels. They don't look like world beaters. They don't look like contenders. And that 0-3 start is
kind of defines what they're
kind of defines what they look like. Yeah.
We'll get into the Eels review shortly, but one thing that Mitchell Moses should take away from this is Josh Schuster got himself right into the line on those backdoor plays, squared himself up beautifully on a lot of them. It's exactly what Mitch Moses should be sort of taken into account, because when he's chasing a game, he just starts drifting laterally. He's such a fast and dynamic player. If he can look at squaring someone up on that edge and then playing that support line off it, they'll be in for a hell of a lot more. Panthers coming off a bye, they looked relentless against the Bunnies the week beforehand. Ruck speed fast as ever.
Yeah.
If they do this again this week, I think the Eels are in for a bit of a punishing. Nothing really to report with the team ins and outs for either. Now, these two sit pretty even, 23 wins to the Eels, 26 wins to the Panthers. I'll be leaning towards the Panthers in this. It may get a little ugly if they can apply the same ruck speed as they did against the Bunnies. Watch for a few try scorers on that right edge for the Panthers, though. We saw the Eels have been sort of highlighted a couple of times on that left edge on defense, so I'd be looking at Critter a little bit in this.
Yeah, and I've got down here too, edge defense a problem again for the Eels. So, yeah, the Panthers, they still look like champions. They roll up the field so easily. Like you said, their ruck speed is lightning. It's just the first couple of games, there's been a few execution, I wouldn't say errors, but just a bit of clutteredness to their strike plays in the strike zone. So, hey, it's just a matter of how much the Panthers are going to win this game. I've got them here as favourites, $1.34 to the Eels underdogs, $3.15. I think the play is a Panthers head-to-head, but if I were to put a score amount on this, I'd go Panthers 11-20 at $4.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah. I mean, obviously the Panthers have had a week off to sort of apply what they need to in terms of all of this kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out and attack this. Yeah. My best bet for the game, Stephen Crichton, anytime try scorer at $2.50.
Nice.
We move into the Storm taking on the Tigers on Friday. The Storm lost 38-34 to the Titans. Tigers lost 26-22 to the Dogs. So we'll kick it off with the Storm. Do you want to take us away on that?
Yeah, their game was a messy try fest. Bellamy must have been close to having an aneurysm from all the from all the errors that led to Gold Coast tries.
They've stopped showing the coaching box as much, eh?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see just a highlight clip of him blowing up over this first couple
honestly,
rounds.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was just like laying into his like
the
assistant
door or
coach. I was thinking assistant coach, just like, yeah, fucking. Yeah, so he would have been pulling his hair out. 17 errors, 8 penalties, 67% completion. Are we talking about the Tigers yet? No, we're talking about the Storm. Yeah. That was, absolutely horrible. Hughes and Grant need to do a better job of taking control of this team, but maybe they don't once we get to the prediction. But yeah, it was pretty messy for the Storm. 20-year-old Jonah Pezzett did a lot better job than Tyron Wishart, in my opinion.
If you've been watching the page, he was one of our rookies to watch this year as well.
Yeah. So I think, because Wishart in the games I've seen him cover for Munster was doing nothing.
He's not a 6.
Nah. So Pezzett injected a little bit of life into them into the first half. They just absolutely crumbled in the second half. I will take a positive in Alicia Katoa.
Yeah.
163 run meters, 1 line break, 36 tackles. Dynamic combination with Jerome Hughes. they need to look to continue that when they get Munster back. And once Munster comes back, it all changes. But they're not looking good as it stands right now.
Nah, so my takeaway from this as well, they missed less tackles and had double the line breaks of the Titans, yet the score is still reflected in 38 points to 34. Nick Meaney has filled in at the back really well for Pap, though. He's second in the league for total points currently. Obviously, he kicks goals, but he's second in the try scorer count as well, or the big tied second with 3. Justin Olam was letting everyone know that he was back in the league. Now, that hit on Tana Boyd was an absolute ripper.
You like that one, personally?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, there was a little bit of force. I was thinking, come on, mate, off you go. Now, it's great for the Storm to have the enforcer back on that left edge for them, and it puts the whole league on notice. Don't go down that right edge. Now we get into the Tigers. Well, I thought they had handed to them before just the 3 tries in 4 minutes, lucky bloody streak. Wakeham was good on debut. I thought he brought a little bit of impact off the bench, which is something that they're just absolutely screaming for. Now, I really think that they're missing a 13. They play this expansive game that is just way too fast for the cattle that they have right now. Uppy has come from a system where he could create in the middle really, really well with Isaiah Yao, and he could just tip it off, make
Definitely
plays
doesn't look
around
the same Uppy,
Nah, so having Yao there allows him to make those plays around the ruck, tip it off to him if that isn't there. And what you're seeing right now is when he doesn't have those plays and he's tipping it off to these guys, running like those hard down lines and potentially not even coming up with the goods, and you can see the frustration on his face. If they can work on the transition from the middle to the edges, I'm not saying it's going to fix everything, but it might start helping. Obviously, the completions and this brand sort of coming together that they're playing right now, because, there's a lot of problems there right now.
It's horrible.
It's it's too early to be pointing fingers, I think, at the coaching. You can see what they're trying to do, and it's maybe just not, like I said, the right system for the cattle that they have, but it is, it's getting ugly.
The thing is, I'm an Adam Doueihi fan, but it's his side where the clutteredness and the mistakes seem to happen when they're trying to execute. Yep. They still work their way up the field really well, and they still did that in this game. They go... they've got good go forward and they fight hard in the tackles and they earn a lot of penalties off that, and they get themselves in good scoring positions. But when it comes to that scoring strike play, holy crap, it's fucking hideous. Yeah. So, Adam Doueihi, it's good to see what they've done with the team list, and we'll get to that in a second. But he was really struggling in that halves position so far this year.
Now into our predictions, Munster back for the Storm and Papali'i was also back for the Tigers. Storm at home, Munster back. The Tigers really suck. I think Melbourne get this. The forward pack improves a little bit on last weekend. I think it'll be something a little bit more convincing, but I'm going to stay away from all the margins in this one.
Fair enough.
So where do you see this?
Yeah, so Storm are $1.33 favourites. Tigers are $3.20 underdogs. I mean, I think that's pretty good value for the Storm, and it's coming off some bad results. I think... I might have done these odds before Munster was named, but I'm going to go Storm 13 plus at $2.10. I just see them being revitalized at home with Munster. I do think the Tigers will show more promise with Wakeham in the halves position and Doueihi at the back. Yeah. By the way Doueihi plays, I do think he is more of a natural ball-carrying fullback than he is a half. So I am very excited to see how they go. But I'm going to stick Storm 13 plus here.
The only thing that I don't like in this is we saw Nofaluma go to the Storm last year. Doueihi had put his hand up and said that's exactly where he wants to go and learn that halves role there. They obviously didn't transition him over there, and he's made it loud and very vocal that he wants to be the half and that he wants to play in the halves. I don't know if like changing him to the back sort of fixes this all. The whole Brooks situation really isn't working out well. I'm excited to see what Wakeham gives us and maybe a little bit of prowess from Doueihi, but I don't know if that's just the fix it all sort of play. I had in our notes earlier in the season, I wouldn't actually mind seeing Dewey potentially in the Manly format. Had Schuster or the whole Schuster experiment not work out.
Hey, that's not a bad call.
That would have looked really good seeing Schuster in at that 13, DCE, and Dewey out on that edge would have looked real pretty.
Yeah.
My best bet for this, Coates, anytime try score on that left edge at $1.57.
Yeah, like that.
Dolphins take on the Broncos on Friday. Dolphins defeated the Knights 36-20. Broncos get the win over the Dragons 40-18. We'll start off with the Dolphins. I said last week they're going to have highs and lows this season. For me, this game was a low, yet they still get the result.
Yeah.
Handling errors, penalties, and very key moments. The man and the name that just seemed to keep on popping up in the middle of them was Kafusi as well. He just sort of needs to figure out...
Lost his head in this game.
Yeah, he needs to figure out where he's being that enforcer and sort of when to just be that guy.
Yeah, perfectly put. I think he's been... Wayne Bennett has definitely given him his role as an enforcer and as a hard hitter and as a dominant defender in this team. And I think when it wasn't quite going his way, he started to really, lose sight of what he really needed to do to help his team, and its foul play started to creep in. So yeah, for Kafusi, bad performance, lost his head a little bit.
Yeah, he was trying to make those hits even harder.
Yeah.
Now, early doors in the match, they play the backdoor option consistently, just to try and get into Hammer's hands early. I like the play. They're exposing him onto that edge straight away, but I think they need to be hitting that direct sort of channel a little bit earlier just to sort of create that or keep the defence honest in a way, just to actually give that space to him. Ewan Aitken's try assist to Tessaniu was one heck of a ball. They really like setting themselves up on the trams though and playing that right to left sweep.
Yeah.
Every week that we're watching it, it's starting to get better and better, and the Hammer's just looking more and more dangerous, which I really like.
Yeah, the Dolphins... from what I was noticing in the first half, they don't even touch. They play within the absolute middle of the field. They don't even touch the outside 15 yards. So I think they can, especially because it was pretty good conditions out in Newcastle. I think they can afford to chance their arm a little bit more. But it's because Wayne Bennett is a coach and he's given them we need to complete and we need to be accurate. And yeah, that's why we're seeing maybe them not chancing their arms too late. So I don't know. I'm a little bit mixed on their performance. I can see what they're trying to do, but I was also a little bit frustrated thinking, you can do more.
A bit more.
You can do more in this game. But Tessaniu was really impressive. 230 run meters, 3 tries, 2 line breaks. I thought the Bromwich brothers were really good. Yep. Kenny's got nice light footwork right before the line. And Connolly Lumuelu. Man, I'm going to butcher this.
Yeah.
Lumuelu.
Yeah. Lumuelu.
Yeah, thank you. 134 run meters, 1 line break, 30 tackles. Young fella, very impressive.
Thomas Gilbert as well. He's been an absolute dog for them.
Yeah, he has. He's a hard worker. I watch him hit the ball up and I go, oh man, that doesn't look like he's running very hard, but always hitting the ball up, always making tackles, really good in fantasy. So Tom Gilbert, shout out.
Broncos, awful completion rate to start the match. They were just looking for the miracle play to come off right from the get-go. Random offloads, weird kicks from Walsh, multiple turnovers. They really lacked patience throughout this match, which was quite frustrating, and it was looking like it was going to potentially swing the Dragons' way until the final 8 minutes, and we just saw an absolute disaster happen for the Dragons. Reynolds' kicking game, again, was outstanding, 351 kick meters, and the 2-point field goal just before the half was a nice touch as well.
I think Adam Reynolds has the most complete and effective kicking game in the whole NRL. Cleary, all DCE, all included, because he's got the most versatile skill set. He can go high with the bombs. He can go short with the grubbers. He's got good goal kicking off both sides. So, man, Adam Reynolds is so impressive as a kicker.
He can hit the 2-point field goal, and you see a lot of these banana kicks, and it's actually so hard to do. So a banana kick when you're coming from that, if you're a right foot kicker and you're getting that ball from that right side or left side, no matter what side it is, and your body's facing out and you want to kick off the edge and curl it around to the right, it's a lot easier to do. But when you're running and you're trying to chip it, if you're a golfer, Simon would love it, and it's hard to hit.
I only know shanks.
So it's
different to a slide.
It's hard to kick across your body, and so when a guy like this is doing that at full speed, and we're seeing it week in, week out, where he's going on that right edge and he's right-footed kicker and he's kicking that back in, and it's accurate every single time. It's just, you don't see Cleary doing it that often, and yeah, it's super impressive and it's super underrated.
And also, I will put a kicking read of his was that in the first half, the Broncos really struggled, and it was honestly because of the defensive line speed on the edges for the Dragons. They were coming up in an umbrella defense, and then in the second half, as part of their comeback, I honestly think it was the short little grubbers getting in behind those outsides coming up too fast, and Adam Reynolds was kicking them to perfection, getting them right on the spot, and some tries even came off them.
One to watch for this as well that he had a fantastic game was Katoni Staggs as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm excited to see what he comes up with in this against this Dolphins
It might be
outfit.
the best centre pairing, him and Herbie Farmworth in the whole NRL at the moment. They've got a lot of things where I think, man, that's the best, because Payne Haas also is easily, in my opinion, the best prop forward in the NRL.
And you combine him with Paddy Carrigan, you got Flegler as well.
Who's got an argument for best 13? I'm not going to say that, but he's up there.
Yeah, just the top knot though, gotta go. Now, predictions for this, Jared Wallace back for the Dolphins, which is huge. Pretty unchanged side for the Broncos. Now, Wayne Bennett takes the new kids on the block back into the old stomping ground, and unfortunately, I see them coming away with the L in this. Dolphins will wear them down defensively, but this Broncos outfit is a little bit different to what they've faced. They've got X Factor all over the field, and you just mentioned the forward pack and the dogs in there. It's going to be a defensive, hard hitter game.
Physical.
And I see just maybe Reynolds and Mann, the experience and the flair that they have in the halves outweighing just the inexperience.
Yeah, so you've got the Broncos $1.33 favourites to the Dolphins $3.20 underdogs. I don't see the Dolphins getting blown out by pretty much anyone just because of how defensively physical they are, and then how disciplined they are on offense and just playing a really completion, structured, orientated style. So I do think the Broncos will win. I agree with that, but I'm going to stick with a 1-12 here at $3.10.
Yeah, so my best bet for this is I really wanted to go with the Stags anytime, but I am a little bit concerned that this is going to be a lot closer, and the Dolphins' defense has just showed us that they can grind down some games. So my best bet for this is the Broncos at a point start minus 4.5, and that will get you $1.47.
Hell of a game.
Yeah.
Might be game of the round. Undefeated teams.
Cowboys take on the Titans on Saturday. Cowboys lost 26-12 to the Warriors. Titans beat the Storm 38-34. Now, the Cowboys looked rattled throughout this game against the Wars, especially throughout the second half where they were just trying to chase the game the whole time. They really look like they don't have an identity in this, and I said it last week, the week beforehand as well. They're disappointing me in that fact. I had them finishing third. Again,
I did too.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fighting for the 8. Reece Robson.
I agree.
Yeah, Reece Robson was fantastic around the ruck. 51 tackles made as well. I think he's calling on that Origin potential debut, especially. I know it's a different game. Uppy's probably going to be there, and Cook's been playing well, but man, he's making an argument.
Yeah, he's so dangerous on his little runs around the ruck, and he's super hard to put down. He's built like a little nugget, and he'll do a little scoot, and you know when like hookers usually get tackled, they get kind of dominated because they're small. He's sort of carrying like two prop forwards along with him. He's a little nugget and a strong runner. And also, if you're a fantasy player, it's 74 fantasy points. So, hey,
Vickies,
real good effort by Reece Robson.
Other one, Tom Chester, wherever he was on the field, 110% effort at all time. I don't know, lad, what were you thinking when you run just full tit into that line like that? He wore it pretty well, but I was really impressed with him. I think he may have a bright future in the NRL if some team's going to look up and take what he has to offer. Yeah,
I like him too. And also Valentine Holmes looked pretty dangerous. I'm starting to see a reoccurring theme though with the Cowboys. They start really clinical, fluid, they look threatening, and then it just completely unravels. And then when it rains, it pours. When one penalty comes, another comes, and then errors come, and then Cotter's dropping the ball, and it unravels pretty quickly for the Cowboys. And low key, watching the game, Warriors dominated them. From 20 minutes. They won the first 20, and then after that, they got pretty much steamrolled. So, man, really concerning signs for the Cowboys.
I couldn't agree more. Now the Titans, Tino. Man, he's a good leader. The hit from Olam on Boyd we touched on earlier. What happens on the next set? Tino just goes in and wants a piece of the pie. Look, you're going out there and he knows he's going to give away a penalty. I don't give a shit. Yeah. You know, that's exactly what you need.
He's got grit, old Tino.
Yeah, he's letting his boys know that he's got his back. Yeah. It's against his old team. He doesn't give a fuck.
And he seems like that sort of leader as well. He seems like a lead by example instead of a vocal voice in the game. So yeah, Tino, I'm stoked with him as captain as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now, he's an absolute workhorse. It's always a pleasure to watch him on this Titans pack. It does such a great. There was a great moment where he got in this as well to share with his brother playing, which was fantastic to see. Now, we saw a glimpse of Brimmer in the halves with 4 and off. I really like it still. Now, you can compare it to potentially the Ponga halves pairing with Hastings. I still think he has that room to create on the edges, and I just want to see him paired with Foran and Campbell at the back.
Yeah, I mean, that has been a wet dream of yours to see AJ in that position. I just like him at fullback, and he is such a dangerous player, and he's
a bolter for this Queensland team.
Oh,
too.
I think so too. He is so fast and so electric. This whole Titans team is actually really lethal. They're not a great team at all, but when given the chance, they can cut you to bits. So it is a team where you have to be on your A game in order to shut them out and beat them. But yeah, there are still problems. 13 errors and 5 penalties. Soft line defense, 27 missed tackles.
Yeah.
So they've got their problems, but they are a team with a lot of talent and a lot of danger.
Predictions in this one, Cotter out for the Cows. Where do you see this heading?
Yeah, so the Titans are $2.80 underdogs. Cowboys are $1.41. I still like the Cowboys in this. They haven't looked great, and they haven't been able to put an 80-minute performance together yet, but in the periods that I have seen them play well, they still look pretty good. And they do have the talent to still be pretty good in this competition. Deaden's still, showing glimpses of danger. Valentine Holmes is still showing glimpses of danger. It's just that 80-minute performance from the whole team that we're not getting from the Cowboys. The Titans aren't very good. They give away way too many penalties and way too many errors, and that's been a reoccurring theme for every game of them so far. So I think the Cowboys, if you give the Cowboys the chance to build some territory and momentum, they are going to win the game. So I've got the Cowboys 11-20 at $4.33. But maybe just to be safe, I'd play a Cowboys money line -7.5, $1.90.
Interesting. Now, I didn't back them last week. I'm going to have to go back to the old faithful. I'm jumping back on the Titans shit again. The Titans have only won here once. But the Cows at Country Bank Stadium only have an 18-37 record. That's 49%, and I like the Titans getting something here. Now, yeah, I still think that the Cowboys, they're missing Drinky. It's going to be interesting how this all comes together.
Chester's doing all right.
Chester the Jester is not doing too bad. Yeah, look, there's just concerning signs around this. The pack for the Titans they've got some dogs. The edge play, Cam Pereira is having a fantastic season as well. Yeah,
he's a good finisher, natural finisher.
Now, I'm going to be taking the Titans head-to-head in this, but my best bet for that is the Titans at a +7.5 at $1.90.
Okay.
Now, Rabbitohs take on Manly.
Taking a lot of dogs today.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Rabbitohs take on Manly on Saturday. Rabbitohs had the loss to the Chooks 20-18 last weekend. Manly beat Parramatta 34-30. Do you want to kick us off with what you took away from the Bunnies?
Yeah, so they still look extremely lethal of planned of taps and scrums, of planned set plays and structures where they can, start somewhere and then build their offense. But yeah, they just let frustration get in the way and too many penalties and errors. And once again, just like they did against the Panthers, got dominated in territory and possession after 20 minutes. So it's not a good sign when you're giving up so much ball, and it's basically just penalties and errors for them. So they're really good defensively. So the Roosters were struggling to crack them. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about the Rabbitohs at the moment. They've got such signs of danger and promise, and then they blend in a little bit of bad team tendencies, if you know what I mean. So in terms of performances, Campbell Graham locks Suwali down. Yep. So he is part of that defensive intensity I was talking about.
Dog,
yeah, man. Yeah, so he was really good. Cam Murray was pretty good through the middle, 114 run meters, 1 line break, 3 tackle breaks, 42 tackles. The real standout was Keon Kolomatangi.
Yeah.
75 fantasy points, which is a league high. So if you have him in your team, you'll be stoked with that.
Just picked him up.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Nice. 1 try, 119 run meters, 1 line break, 2 line break assists, and 3 tackle breaks. So they've got the talent to do some things in this competition, but they just need to work out some wrinkles. And also what I'm noticing is they're going to the right side just as much as the left side. It's a real balanced offense nowadays.
And you just tipped on it before. The man that there's looking at on that right side is Kolomatangi. Now, they were relentless for the first 20 before just completely backing off the juice. When you talk about that right edge and you bring in a forward like Kolomatangi, who's just such a threat when the ball is around, you have to have someone jam in on him when he's running those down lines. And as long as you can read where that shoulder's going, he's going to be making gain line or you're going to be playing out the back. Now, when you think of right edge players, you think Olakuatu straight away.
Yeah.
For me, Kolomatangi's right up there. I mean, Olakuatu is an absolute dog, but Kolomatangi's having a hell of a season season.
And you did say that in the preseason, one person to watch out would be this guy, and he's proven you right so far.
Concerning for me again with the Rabbits, not a team that usually lets off the gas. They're a team that will take a little while to get into it, and then if you see them, putting the foot on the throat early, they're going to be finishing these teams. I can't remember the stats on it exactly, but I think the Roosters were 1 for 6 in their last couple of matchups. The point spread on that, I'd worked it out, was like 26.5 in all of those matches. They got out early with AJ to a nice little early try score, and I was thinking the minus 12.5 looks real tidy here, but it's just real disappointing from them. Latrell, they call it Trelliance, didn't live up to its hype. Joey Ance, I think, came right at the end there. Now into Manly, where do I start? You talked about wet dreams earlier. This is one right here.
Stop it.
Schuster played fantastic. Give me more. 3 try assists. The Manly's right edge, right to left edge looks probably the best in the league right now. The way they mix it up, you don't know where it's. You don't know where it's coming from.
They're kind of like they're the Rabbitohs last year. The Seagulls are pretty much doing what they were doing, just left side heavy on the third, early and often. The Seagulls are dangerous down that side.
What I like as well is you don't know where it's coming from, whether it's coming from Schuster, it's coming from Turbo, where it's going to Schuster or going to Turbo. Ruben Garrett looks fucking outstanding. Tommy looked healthy and hungry. 2 tries, 1 try assist, 10 tackle breaks, and 204 run meters. Now the offense looks really, really tidy, but the statement for me with the Birds is the defense. You touched on it with I've gone with a bloody Serraldo. In terms of where he's come from and what he's done defensively. They are a team that's
Anthony Seibold.
Sorry. They're a team that's going to punish a few teams defensively this year, and if they can build on that attack afterwards, I like the identity that they're building with this, and I'm really high with what's coming from the Birds.
Yeah, they've got really good defensive intensity. Massive hits from the Uso hit squad. With honorary Uso Jake Trebojevic chipping in as well. So
he was in amongst that Uso flag afterwards as well.
I wonder if we got a Chehu out of Jake Trebojevic. That would have been funny.
He might have some Bowden Barrett heritage.
Chehu! Jake Trebojevic. But defensive intensity at the start of the halves, fragile at the end. So I will sort of knock them down a little bit there. I think there is a lack of fitness maybe in this team.
Schuster
is one of them. Yeah. That experiment of him at the half is an absolute success. What a revelation. He was amazing. But on defense...
I touched on it earlier, though, when the whole squaring up thing. So Schuster is so impressive when you watch him, how a guy can get his hips in so square and so deep into a line and then pull that ball out the back. I don't know how he does it, but you'll watch him and he's got his whole body kind of like almost facing away and then he just wraps it right back. It's so impressive.
He's pretty flexible for a big boy. He must be doing a few yoga classes.
It doesn't look like it, but he's been doing those Russian twists in the core. Carry on. Sorry, mate.
That's pretty much all I had to add. Just maybe errors and penalties as well. I know they say that with everyone. Maybe I've got a high standard of errors and penalties, but hey, the Warriors weren't doing too badly until the very end. So that's the standard you got to keep. Be like the Wars. But they were their own worst enemy. Could be so much better. Best attacking team in the competition. Still have their flaws. I'm still not willing to put them right up there as a top contender. I think the Broncos and the Panthers are still a cut above. But I'm liking what I'm seeing out of the Eagles.
I couldn't agree more. They're not that elite tier because we haven't seen the consistency from them yet, but they're a team that's building in the right direction. And if they can just start working on these throughout the season and hit the ground running come playoff time, I like where they're going.
Yeah, and Roosters are cut above as well. Ooh, they're looking good again.
Now, Totola out for the Bunnies. No real big changes for either team other than that. Manly don't have the best record here, but both teams are sitting at 21 wins against each other, and the Bunnies have won the last 2 by convincing margins. This is a different Manly outfit this season. And
this is where you'll go.
Yeah, I'm back in the birds.
So you got the Rabbitohs $1.54. The Sea Eagles underdogs at $2.40. Man, considering the tone I was giving the Sea Eagles and the tone I was giving the Rabbitohs, this is going to seem like a really weird pick. But I'm actually going to go with the Rabbitohs 1-12 at $2.88. I just think they've got a defensive intensity to them to where they're not going to concede 8 points too easily.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen that in any of their games so far. I think they conceded 16 to the Panthers, 17 to the Sharks, and then 20 last week to the Roosters. So they are a tough team to crack, especially around those edges with Campbell Graham and I believe Tass is the other center. So I think they're going to hold out the danger, and I think they're going to bring it to the Seagulls like they haven't seen in the first couple of games. And I honestly think they're going to hold off for a win here.
My best bet for this is Manly plus 5.5 on the margin at $1.90. And now this is why I have it circled. The New South Wales Blues fullback position is kind of up for grabs.
Yeah.
And Tommy Turbo will be looking at Latrell and going, I'm going to lay my claim on this back to the centres lad, and I'm expecting a big game from him on that edge.
It's a great fullback battle between the 2 New South Wales centres.
Get out of it. Now the Warriors take on the Bulldogs on Sunday. The Wars get up over the Cows 26-12. The old faithful Simon, he isn't here. He would have been loving that. The Bulldogs,
I'm loving it.
Yeah, the Bulldogs beat the Tigers 26-22. We'll kick it off with the Warriors. Absolutely fantastic. I said last week that the forward pack is what's going to keep them in games this season. It's exactly what kept them in this.
Such strong ball carriers, man. They can roll yards on anyone.
Yeah. Tough Cowboys pack, and the boys in the middle completely dominated, and then Kosi and Montoya just completely reaped the rewards. Montoya was incredible. 246 run meters, 6 tackle breaks, and 2 tries. Now, over the first 3 weeks, he's at a total of 612 run meters, which is just an absolute workhorse. Carraz-like numbers.
Yeah, he's coming. You can tell he's been doing the work in the offseason because he's coming looking like a brick shithouse for starters, and he is so effective, so busy, and willing to carry it back hard. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Montoya.
When Dalen comes back, there's going to be some work rate out of that back. I think it's going to be a Dalen for Kosi, but the way that you see Montoya throw himself around the park is almost Watene Zelezniak-like.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I'm really excited. Wade Egan is going to be a huge loss. Now, he was playing absolutely fantastic, but that hit that he copped was a little bit sick to watch, and it was real sad.
It was almost cartoonish the way he went down with
the big flop out. But
yeah, it didn't look good, and you'd like to see him take his 11 days because knockouts like that are not natural looking, and he will be a big loss. But luckily, Jazz is back in the fold, and Dylan Walker has been looking really good off the bench. So
Jazz played really well as well.
Yeah, so we've got it covered. Hey, the Warriors, I don't want to say it, but they were dominant after the first 20, and they look like a legit top 8 team. They were completing at such a high rate, 80%. Could have been higher if you minus like the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were threatening the edges as well. So it was a balance of big boys up the middle, and then Tamati Martin got working, pushing the edges. Shawnee Johnson is moving like... he started looking like he was slowing down last year, but he's revitalized this year. He's moving well.
There was a little moment where he was, I think he was sort of caught in the middle there, and he started shifting over to the left, and there wasn't sort of anything on, and he broke out that right foot step, and you could see, shit, I've still got that push off, and I was thinking, come on, mate, give that dummy and a little bit of flick, and give me some fireworks.
The confidence from 2011 isn't quite there anymore, but you can tell there's still a little something there with a little zip to his game. So I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Shawnee. Hey, the defense is still really good as well.
Yeah.
Like I look at this game and I think defense is there, go forward is there, threatening the edges,
and the result.
And the result is there. It's looking pretty top 8. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the Warriors are looking really good. The game was well and truly in hand before a bit of old Warriors tendencies did come out. There is still execution issues in the strike zone, but nothing that can't be wrinkled out from what I saw, just loose passes and drop balls, like just dropped cold. It's not like a structure, a cluttered thing like it is with the Tigers or other struggling teams. So I'm high on the Warriors. I'm really impressed by this performance.
I'm as well. Now they take on the Doggies this weekend. Viliami Kikau was showing us exactly what the Dogs brought him over to do. That left edge was so good to watch. Paul Alamonte laps up 2 intercepts to set up the 2 tries. Look, I was high on him at the start of the season, but lad, less weights, more speed work, please. He was great. I was high on him. The performance in back-to-back weeks to back it up as well.
Who needs pace when you've got Josh Adokar pulling up on the outside? Yeah. You can make a break from anywhere and be confident that the try is going to be scored.
Let's drop, bro.
Yeah.
Jacob Carraz, absolute workhorse. 25 runs, 283
Dally
run
M,
meters.
Early Dally M favourite. I think he's leading.
Yeah. I don't like it. 283 run meters, and especially on a 35-degree hot sunny day, you're absolute mad dog.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, their backs are so good. Carraz, Avarillo, Alamotti, Perham, Adokar. He's not one of the young ones, but Adokar is still really good. I heard right before halftime they had more running meters than the forwards, so it's easier to see what the Bulldogs' intentions are with the ball. And, you know, they do push it a lot, and it's super exciting football to see. But, you know, they do start getting a little bit excited and make the odd mistake. But I'm really high on the Bulldogs as a excitement factor. I'll try to watch their games every chance I get.
Burden was fantastic in that as well. You could see, obviously he has the big old Burden
much more aggressive,
Yeah, the way he takes on the line, it's almost like having kick out off his edge, sort of just gives him the confidence where if he is going to be jammed, he can just drop this ball off to someone and he's going to be there and he's going to make a play off it as well. And he's running that down line and support line off him perfectly.
And that's sort of where Burton's game gets unlocked, when he is running the ball hard, which is something he has been missing in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
This game, he was running the ball hard, and then opportunity started presenting itself on the left edge, and you saw Kikau getting some good runs and other players getting good runs. So Burton's got to keep that aggression, keep running the ball, and his game will flow from there.
Barnett, Egan out for the Wires, Clockstad, Curran, and Ford back though. Doggies pretty much the same, 17. The Wires have won the last 2, and the last time these teams met at Mount Smart, it was 42-18 thumping. The Dogs also only have a 38% win rate at Mount Smart. I'll be going Wires.
Yeah, so this is a tough game to pick considering the forms of the two teams. Warriors at $1.83 and Bulldogs at $1.92 underdog. Well, it's pretty much a pick 'em, and the TAB is reflecting the thoughts that we have about this contest. But man, after seeing the way the Wires performed in their last game, and after seeing the way the Bulldogs kind of just crumbled towards the end, I can see home advantage being a huge factor for the Warriors as well. It always is. Mount Smart is always rocking, especially for the first game of the season. I'm going to stick with the Wires as well. I'm going to go Wires 1-12 at $3.10.
I like that. Now, my best bet for this is, again, like you said, it's a bit of a pick 'em. The Doggies have an exciting flair factor. I'll be going the Wires in this. The home crowd plays a big advantage into it. But my best bet for this is Marcelo Montoya anytime at $1.72.
Hey, I like it.
Knights take on the Raiders on Sunday. Knights lost to the Dolphins 36-20, and the Raiders beat the Sharks 24-20. We'll start it with the Knights. Knights came out and made a statement early with the defence. Looked like Saifidi wanted to join his brother on the suspension bleachers. He was putting on some big shots early. Lockie Miller had another great game, linked really well with Hastings.
Yeah, he's fantastic, that guy.
Yeah. Had a number of good touches throughout, 2 tries, 6 tackle breaks, and 212 run meters. Now, when Ponga returns, I wonder what's going to happen here, because he's someone that could potentially look all right in the halves and shift Ponga to the back. I don't really like it, but he is showing potential to link on those edges. Lack of experience really costed them at the back end of this. The late HIA to Hastings was really brutal, and they just needed someone with some experience to steady the ship, which may have given them a chance.
Yeah, and you usually look to Jackson Hastings for that sort of thing. The first half, and even into the second half a little bit, they do look like a decent team. They just unravel at certain stages of the games, and they unraveled big time towards the end of the second half. So, yeah, not too sure about the Knights. They do have great relieving runs from their backs. Dom Young although he was a bit dodgy under the ball, was running it back really hard. Dane Gagai was also good in that department. Bradman Best is a little unit. He's hard to put down front up. They just make too many errors. Phoenix Crosland had pretty terrible delivery from hooker. Yeah. They're missing Brayley. Yeah. Lachlan break and mistake Fitzgibbon. Always good for a good line and a break, but just always does something to drop it or lose it after. So it's just execution problems for the Knights, and they're just waiting for a few troops to come off the injury reserve. And maybe they can do something with Ponga back, but it's not looking too flash.
Yeah, I think we're going to have the same sort of conversation with the Knights throughout the whole season, so get ready for a whole lot more of that. Raiders, first try for the Raiders was a heck of a ball from Wyden, but shit, that looked forward. Raiders went well. They're missing Big Papa, which we'll get into with the preview. Tapeni is he's not a direct runner for them. He's more effective when he has a little bit of room to operate, which you get when Big Papa is being that sort of lead runner that's just running straight up and down the middle. And Papali'i can play, Tapeni can play the tip ball off him and sort of use a little bit of footwork and get on some smaller guys out on that edge. They looked really nice, and they're slowly building. Hudson Young had a little bit of a better performance in this one, few better touches with the footy. So what did you like from them?
Yeah, the Raiders were pretty good in this one, so they obviously upset the Sharks, which is I wasn't going there, but
yeah, I had that pick.
Yeah, that was a good dog pick. They were super accurate again and relentless territorial pressure in the first half. Kind of faded away in the second half, but a positive that I took out of it was Fogarty and Whiten are really connecting a lot. Like there was one play where it was like a blindside shot, and Jack Whiten was on the right side of Jamal Fogarty. So I was like, man, these guys are really working together.
They've found their identity. You know, Fogarty's the guy that will sort of get them into positions around the field, do a little bit more of the kicking. They've got a good even split on that. And he's the guy that sort of sets up these plays. And then Whiten, like you said, was just roaming beautifully.
Kind of like a fullback. And he has played a lot in that position. So it's good that they're utilizing his skill set to the max. Also, the interchange for the Raiders is on point. It's one of my favorite interchanges in the NRL at the moment, and led by one of my favorite players at the moment, Corey Horsburgh. He went over for 2 meat pies, 5 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 27 tackles. Hey, Big Red is good coming off that bench, and he really capitalizes on some tired bodies.
There was I think it was him and Royce Hunt got into it earlier in the play. Royce Hunt, I think it was held him down at the scrum or something. There was a little bit of a scuffle. Big Red was giving him, hold him up under the chin, and Royce went for a swing. And that was right after then. Big Red put some footwork on him on the line, gets a try. And as soon as he gets out, the whole team's celebrating, but he's just chirping at Royce. Yeah. It was great to see. Predictions for this now: Dom Young out for the Knights, Kurtman back, Maju and Frizzell, Big Papa back for the Raiders. Raiders have a shocking track record at McDonald's Jones, but for me, that's no factor this weekend. Raiders comfortably, Big Papa is going to be a huge boost for them.
Yeah, so you got the Raiders here, favourites at $1.43, Knights underdogs at $2.75. Just like the Panthers game earlier, I see it as a how much situation. I think the Raiders will get this one done. I can see the Knights sticking around and making it close-ish. The Raiders have had close games all year so far, so I'm going to ride a Raiders 1-12 at $3. But I think just like the Panthers game, the more responsible play would be a Raiders money line -6.5 at $1.90.
Yeah, so I saw that was the money line, and I thought 6.5. Potentially we might see maybe not a 2-try split come out of this. Yep. So my best bet for that is Raiders on a -4.5 at $1.67.
Yeah, take it down. Yeah, I like that play.
Now the Dragons take on the Sharks on Sunday. Dragons lost to the Broncos 40-18. Sharks lost to the Raiders 24-20. We'll kick it off with the Dragons. I was really wrong about them. They have a lot more to offer than I thought that they would this season.
Surprisingly physical team, eh? Ball carriers and defense.
Yeah, so I've got, Sua, Laurie, Murdoch, Masilla, all great for the Dragons. They're all big dogs and they're letting it known. Sloan is exactly what I was hoping for this season. It's great to see that he's owned what happened last year, and he knows that this is a breath of fresh air. He's got no Ramsey sort of making the selection process a little bit confusing, so he can just be confident.
And he's playing with really good confidence, and it's good to see.
Yeah, Reynolds gave him an absolute headache of a night at the back there.
Yeah.
And he just ate them all up, and then he got straight back on his horse and was attacking fantastically. What did you like from the Dragons here?
Yeah, like I said, it was their defensive physicality, their strong ball carrying, their line speed in the first half was really good. They were utilizing that umbrella that got maybe a little bit exposed in the second half, but not just that being exposed in the second half. They just came out super flat as well. Their line speed in general was just way, way worse. And I mean, if you're losing the second half 32-2, are you a fit team? That's a really big question mark. And you see some of their boys like Blake Lowry, Frank Molo, they're really struggling in that department.
The jersey's been sized up a little bit for the core.
Yeah. Blake Lowry especially. Yeah. He's kind of looking like what was that guy who promotes it? Georgie Rose. Blakey Rose. So hey, their interchange is really good. Michael Molo, Jacob Little, Zane Musgrove, and Kerr, they all came on and did really valuable minutes. But yeah, real bad signs with that second half and crumbling in the last 10 minutes. 4 tries conceded in the last 10 minutes. So I think they're going to be competitive with teams, but they're going to lose more games than they win just on the basis that, maybe they're not fit and maybe they're not quite, I'm just going to call it how it is. They got some dumb and volatile players in their team, and they're prone to giving away a few penalties. So
Rabalawa.
I will also say, I was thinking more Frank Molo and stuff like that, but Moses Sully is kind of giving me David Fafita vibes. He looks so strong and dangerous when he does carry the ball, but mate, we're getting like 4 carries a game. Yeah. Like, he needs to get more involved because he's looking tough and fit. And if they utilize him well, he could be really dangerous on that right side.
Yeah,
it is the right side.
Right side. Him and Lomax switched it up this year. He was one of my guys to watch this year for the Dragons. I've got him in my fantasy team, and I'm just trying to hold for some sort of performance.
Just a breakout, eh?
Yeah.
Could be the big Talakai sort of game that he had against the Seagulls. You could get that from Sully, but we're just not seeing the effort at the moment.
I really like the Dragons outside backs as well. You got Lomax is playing outstanding this year. I think that move from the right to the left centre has been great for him. He had some great touches to set up some tries and just look a little bit more lethal down that side, where he's not just relying on the standard flick that's just going to go into touch. Ben Hunt looked really well, really good as well.
He's just class.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get too many bad games out of Ben Hunt.
Now the Sharkies, you mentioned Talakai. I was hoping a bit of a bigger performance from him, and it's not what we got. It's a little bit disappointing what's happening this year. Ever since that New South Wales or that Origin game has sort of gone into a shell a little bit.
Started.
Now the Sharkies, Brendan Nakora put an absolute bone rattler again on Jamal Fogarty at the back end of the first half. He had himself one heck of a game defense and backed it up with a few real tough, hard lines in attack as well.
He runs a really good line. One of the best line runners in the NRL, I'd say.
Does he run a good line or?
Well, you'd hope he's just running the lines and he's not doing other lines.
He's not getting caught out.
He could go to Reece Walsh for a bit of training on that sort of thing.
Don't go to Walshy. Now, the Sharks have gave away way too many penalties in this early in the count and just let the Raiders off with field possession under their belt and ultimately paid the price for it. They have a nice team. It's just waiting for the missing piece, and that's really all I made of it.
Well, speaking of missing piece, we'll get to the team soon because that missing piece might be back. They are one of the most dangerous teams in the strike zone, I will say that much. It's just getting to the strike zone, really, that's the problem. But, I like the Sharkies. They are a lethal team, but there is still something missing, like you said, and there is just a little etchling of intensity that takes them to that top level as a squad. But once Nico Hines comes back and that go for it, because you saw the way they were shifting early last year with Nico Hines in the team, kind of like the Seagulls are doing this year, third and before third, sometimes just shifting it, going up the field. So maybe they can get that back with Nico Hines coming back into the fold. But yeah, this was always just going to be a sort of damage control period for them. 1 and 2 didn't really control the damage too well, but hey, he's back now. Let's see what they can do with him.
Now into our predictions. Obviously, Hines back for the Sharkies. I really like the Sharks here. They've been sticking around in these matches week in, week out. They've just been missing the missing piece to the puzzle, and he's back. Sharks in a tasty margin, potentially.
Yeah, so the Sharks are $1.52 favourites. The Dragons are $2.45 underdogs. I'm with you. I'm going to stick Sharks 1 to 12 at $3, especially with Hines back. The Dragons, will be physical up front and they can make this a close game. But the Sharks do have the ability to just blow them out. Yeah. That's how lethal they are. And I really rate Nico Hines coming back into the team, and he'll inject even more. Was Trindle still in the team?
I believe he's injured after this, so he'll be moved to the interchange after that, I'd say. Okay. But he's super solid backup.
Yeah. So, man, without Trindle, it's because he was doing so well. He throws a real good short ball. He has real good control of that side. So
great kicker.
This is kind of an X factor game. So I'm going to actually advise a Sharks -4.5 at $1.90 as the play. But 1 to 12, $3 is maybe more value if you're a bit more risky.
Yeah, I like it. So I've stayed away from the money lines in this one. Now, Nico Hines is back. That right edge is going to get a big bolster in attack. We saw Sione Katoa played significantly less games than Molatalo last year, but was right behind him in the try score account. So Katoa at some anytime jam up against that Dragons left edge at $1.83 is my best bet for this one. Now that kicks off the review, or finishes up the review preview. Now, what we're going to be doing, give us a little bit while I sort of try and work out the nuts and bolts and how this is going to work, is each week we are going to start off with a story with a tenner. So we're going to do a little story post with the options on, we'll kick it, or for example, the first one this week is the Panthers taking on the Eels. So it'll be a Panthers 1 to 12, Panthers 13 plus, Eels 1 to 12, or an Eels 1 to 13 plus option with all of the margins. And what we'll be doing is putting that $10 on the fan voted, whatever majority rules on. And the winnings from that each week will just follow the same process and go game by game by game and see how far that gets us. Yeah. So, for example, the Panthers at a 1 to 12 is where majority lies at a $2.88. We'll put the $28 onto whatever the next one is voted. We might even be getting up to the $500, $600 mark and finish off with an old faithful WAS 13 plus. But so that's what we're going to be. It all. Yeah, that's what we're going to be running this year, and we'll look to put the winnings back into the community after that. Yeah, so we've been getting a lot of stick about our pick. So putting it back on you guys, seeing how well you guys do. So there you go.
Just something fun that everyone can get involved with, and
see what we can make.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Thursday, this is where we like to end us on. Head around the room, shine some light on past and present person that may need to have their jersey rep the most. Do you want to kick it off this week?
Yeah, I can kick it off. So I'm going to go a little bit off brand as well again. So I've gone to go Gael Monfils. Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't.
He is a French tennis player that got as high as 6 in the world, never won a Grand Slam, only made it as far as the semi-finals in Grand Slam. So he's never going to be remembered by many people, especially people who don't follow tennis too closely. But honestly, I reckon he is one of the most exciting tennis players of all time, and he'll probably be the only person to have a highlight tennis mix that a casual person would be able to watch. Gael Monfils was incredibly talented. He did crazy stuff in matches, through the leg shots, jumping karate shots, diving backhands, left-handed shots. He was kind of like the Kyrie Irving of tennis for me. Really talented player. So was super athletic and got to every ball. Gael Monfils needs some light shined on him. If you haven't seen his highlights, check them out, because you'll be like, whoa, this guy is actually like a crazy tennis player. You don't see too many. Like, if you were to look up a Roger Federer highlights package, it would just be, oh, beautiful backhand down the line. Yeah. Oh, beautiful forehand winner across the court. Like, you'd be like, if you're a casual, you wouldn't really be able to understand the intricacies of that. But if you watch Gael Monfils and you saw all the antics that he's doing, you'll have a good time. So Gael Monfils, shout out. Still plays at 36 years old, so he's not done yet, but
takes a little bit longer to warm up.
Yeah, I don't know if he's getting to every ball like he once was. So Gael Monfils.
Nice. All right, now he wears number 13 for the blue, green, and red. He's number 1 in tackles this season. He just played his 200th and they got the dub. I'll be backing skipper Tohu Harris. They're in for an absolute cracker at Mount Smart this weekend. I hope a hell of a lot of you are going down to the games. I'm glad that we could give away 2 tickets to a lucky winner as well. So
yes,
he deserves a lot of respect this season on, again, what he does week in, week out. He's a fantastic leader. And
80 minutes every game.
I know. And
near 60 tackles every game.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. Tohu Harris, our skipper. I'll be repping him. All right, that's us. Another show in the books. We'll see you again next weekend for the weekly wrap up and see how well we'll.
Yeah, hopefully Simon's back as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
We need to start. We need someone to give stick to with some bad picks.
Yeah, I'm
even
hoping,
though he's doing really good in the bets thing.
He's been wearing it well. I'm hoping the Warriors get the result for him this weekend, and he comes in with some fire in the belly.
Yeah, that's the one.
All right, cheers for that, guys. Peace out.